There is a saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And Prerna is one of those women who started her journey to cover 1,000 miles with her step to start Ecoplore, a clean tech proudly started in India. Earlier in her career, she has been associated with some of the big media houses. From journalism to taking the journey of tourism, she has explored deeply about the unsolved environmental issues in the travel sector before starting Ecoplore. She booked her tickets to start Ecoplore in 2016 and has clicked some incredible memories on the way from then to now. Being covered by your story and other media houses, felicitated with Outlook Responsible Tourism Award, recognized by UNEP for meeting SDG 12. These are some of the highlights about her journey so far. Through Ecoplore, she is sharing her impactful thought of leaving nothing but footprints, taking nothing but photos while you travel. I am happy to get my reserved ticket to have some inspiring, breathtaking, and beautiful conversation with her to know more about her and Ecoplore. Hi Prerna, welcome to Vainiyata Vlogs, and it's amazing to have you today.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Pleasure is all mine. From reporting stories earlier in your career as a media person to now helping people create travel stories via your platform, I mean, how do you feel, Prerna, about the role change from that role to this role?
The way you put it, from reporting media stories to helping people create their own travel stories, these words have been, I really liked it, and they have
Thank
been
you.
beautifully presented. The role shift has been very interesting. When I was a journalist, I enjoyed working on field, working on the subjects which I loved. Especially, I was since reporting news, general news, political stories. So that was my field of interest. A lot of feature news also. And now, when through the sustainable tourism company which I have created through Ecoplore, when we send people to different travel destinations, and in the end, when they tell us that their trip was very interesting, or these are the things which they loved and they enjoyed, and there's no complaint from their side, I think that is when personally I get the maximum satisfaction.
Right, right. Role change may not be easy as it looks like, and from one genre to other genre, and that too, stepping into entrepreneurship role. So, but when you have a vision, passion, and I think you have a purpose, so that path is full of motivation, I think, to move ahead.
I think it is a passion which, in my case, kept me persevering the goal which I had in mind. And I believe that most entrepreneurs are successful, or they're able to achieve what they want to achieve in life only because of the inner passion which they have for it. So in our case, like, I had no background in tourism or business or management. So everything for me was completely new, fresh. It was like a blank slate with which I started. And through the journey, it's been now, I started in 2016. So it's been now almost 6 years. And every day has been a learning experience. So today I feel pride in myself that I could learn so much in these years, and I could, whatever we have accomplished has been because of the passion and the hard work which we have put together.
Right, right. So, from media to environment conscious tourism, how did this happen? I mean, how did you explore Ecoplore?
So I think this was not planned at all. We all have plannings in our careers that we want to become this, that. So this thing was totally unplanned. Entrepreneurship, and especially like going into hospitality industry,
Right.
or doing something even in environment none of this was planned ever in life. When I was a journalist, at the same time, I also volunteered in Anna Hazare movement, and I was also working in Aam Aadmi Party till 2015. So in 2015, when I was very closely associated with the party, there were certain things which I did not like, and it disillusioned me, and it made me realize that I'm not made for politics. And at the same time, journalism was also degrading. So both politics and journalism was something which was not something where I was happy to be. So the last job which I did, it was related to space, satellites, drones. It was a media company working in these domains. And here I came to know that we have not just destroyed planet Earth, but we are even not leaving the universe. We are sending private satellites and what not we are doing in the universe. So that's when I decided to quit that job and never do a job again. Whatever I may do, I'll not do a job. And I left that company. Then I was on break, sitting at home for almost 4 months, literally doing nothing. And this was the first time in my life I was not doing anything. And then we went on a holiday to Malaysia, and I was looking for eco-friendly hotels over there. So whenever I was traveling in India, it was easy for me to find out eco-friendly hotels because I belong to this country.
Right.
But traveling to a new country about whom I hardly had any knowledge, it took me 1 month just to figure out 4 or 5 different hotels. But the experience of living in those hotels was so good. Every place was unique, and that's when the idea of Ecoplore struck. And that's when I thought that there would be many people who would be wanting to visit such unique places, but they're not able to find it in one platform.
Right. Sometimes the things which happen by chance are some of the beautiful chapters of your life, right?
Yes, and I think when you are in your creative zone, when you're relaxing, when you're not working, or
Mm.
when you're not brainstorming, that's when the best ideas come to you.
Right, right, absolutely. So, the value of travel and tourism in contributing towards the economy of any country, specifically India, is considerable. And this has become more evident from the pandemic and the revival post pandemic. So, what's your take here?
So the contribution of tourism in economy of a country, especially if we consider India, is going to increase in future, like post pandemic, post lockdown. We have been seeing how everybody now wants to get out of their houses,
Right.
want to travel. And next year and after that, it will be the graph will go up. So, considering that the number of people who are now traveling, be it on weekend getaways or be it for even longer holidays, the number of youth who is traveling. So, earlier travel was mostly religious, or it was like you're going to your grandparents' place,
Right.
or you're going to your ancestral house. That was travel. But now, even our parents' generation, our generation, younger generation, we all just want to travel for fun, travel for learning. So the importance of learning while traveling has increased a lot. And then there are concepts like staycation, workation, and a lot of other concepts where you can work while being on travel, or
Right.
you can adopt travel as an occupation. Like earlier, when we used to talk about travel industry, it was limited to taxi drivers, hotels, and restaurants. But now you have bloggers
Right.
and influencers and so many other occupation which belong to the travel industry.
Right.
Story writers, and there's so many travel magazines and digital platforms. The industry is growing and booming. And also the responsibility of the industry towards the planet it becomes far more important because of its growth. So the more and more expansion will happen in the tourism industry, the more responsible it needs to
Yeah.
become in its action. So, be it
Right.
the hotels, or be it the taxis, or be it the travelers, the guest, or the service providers, everybody have to play their own role in terms of acting more responsibly, I would say.
Right, right. I think travel and tourism industry contributes greatly to Indian economy, and we have seen during the pandemic how it got affected, and the revival post pandemic, which is still going on, I think, and is very important in giving a boost to the country's overall economic and social improvement as well. And also, in addition to this, Ecoplore, I think it is contributing towards the betterment of the environment as well. So, I mean, that's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what our role has been to show a new direction, how the same travel can be done in a more sustainable way and can also be more fun. So a lot
Right.
of people think that when you adopt sustainable travel, you remove the fun part from it. In fact, if you go to our website, or to if you see any of the hotels over there, and you compare it to any other regular website and their hotels, you will, just by looking at the pictures, you'll get to know that there's more fun here. So sustainability doesn't remove fun. That is
Right.
a very big misconception. A lot of people think that sustainability would mean discomfort, or
Mhm.
would mean less hygiene,
Right.
and compromising with the comfort part which 5 stars or 4 stars provide. But if you check again, if you check these pictures, you'll get an idea that the kind of comfort which is there in some of the sustainable hotels, even the 5 stars cannot match it, because these are like a lot of them are highly boutique properties, and the experience in staying there is amazing. So we have been able to reduce these misconceptions which people had
Right.
in mind, because I remember, like, when we started, the queries we got then, people used to ask questions like, do you have western commode? Do you Are your mud roofs, I hope they are not leaking? So
Okay.
these are the kind of questions we
Right.
had, but we do not get these questions now, especially post
Mhm.
pandemic. We don't get any of such queries. So there is a shift in that understanding level of the society.
Right. Right. That's great to hear. Right. So, Prerna, post pandemic, do you think it's time to rethink travel? And how should a new redefined travel look like? I mean, what is sustainable travel all about? And also, if you can tell us more about EcoPlo, like about what kind of properties are listed in your platform.
Sustainability means people, profit, and planet. These are the three keywords which are associated with sustainability. So,
Mhm.
when we talk about sustainable travel, the travel should involve the local people.
Right.
The profit, the money which is coming from this sustainable travel should go into the local economy, and of course, what the way it is being conducted, it should not harm the planet, the planet of that area. So
Right.
if any travel is done considering these three things in mind, it is sustainable travel. Now, how Ecoplore is doing it? Ecoplore is identifying accommodations or hotels which are at least 30% green in their campus. So they maintain 30% tree coverage in their campus, and they're made of local architecture. So they're made of mud, wood, bamboo, stone, or any other local architecture. Any hotel which meets these two criteria, we identify them. Then we go into their details, that what are the other measures they are fulfilling, like rainwater harvesting, composting, wastewater treatment, and many others. Most of these properties, they grow their own vegetables. They have fruit trees, so
Okay.
people get the experience of plucking fruits during the season. They are located near mountains, riverside, beaches, so in serene locations, away from the town and away from the crowd and honking cars. A lot of them even have water streams and waterfalls inside their campus. So
Oh,
these are very big properties located in 300 acres, 200 acres. 1 acre is like that's the minimum size, you can say. These are not like one campus property that you enter and it finishes. And then we personally visit each of them. So we visit so that we can see the comfort, the hygiene, the safety aspect of it, and whatever sustainable measures they are mentioning, they're fulfilling them or not. So once we are done with our verification, then we take them on board and we list them on our website, and we do bookings for them. So this is the main thing, the accommodation part of it. And then we also do packages. Packages are something which are very customized, then not like fixed packages, 5 nights, 6 day kind of. If suppose somebody wants to visit any particular place and they have a set of requirement, then we, according to their requirement, we create a package for them.
okay. I mean, that's a great SOP you are following to, onboard the properties and also inspecting the properties via personal visits. So it is a really strong onboarding process. And one more thing I would want to know, like, are the remote locations under Ecoplore like safe for solo women travelers?
So most of the visits till now, we have around 200 such personally visited properties across the country,
Okay.
and out of which you can say almost 140 to 150 I have personally visited. So and I visited mostly solo. So even though they are located remote, but they are safe for solo travelers, because most of them, the owners live there on the property itself. So
Okay.
when the owners are residing in the property, they will not let anything wrong happen at their place. It's not even a homestay that you're living in their house.
Hmm.
Uh, it's an independent stay, but the owner's stay would be like next to it or nearby it.
Right, right. That's great. I mean, this will give confidence to especially the women travelers.
Yeah.
So, and I think for some people, business travels are boring, and for some it's exciting. But for you, I mean, your business travels must be really exciting, I believe.
Oh yes, but now I'm like I've done enough of it. So now I don't want to do solo travel. I want to. I'm happy with my friends or family.
Right,
So this business travel has been like, after a point of time, anything becomes stagnant. So
right.
even travel has become a stagnant. Like last, I was traveling from Chhattisgarh till here, and I was like, no, I'm done with travel. And now I want to live. I want to live at a place.
Right. I need a company, right?
Yes, I need a company and I need to stay. I need to settle down. Like almost like last 6 years, I've been just traveling. So
Oh,
so sometimes it looks very exciting from outside, but after a point of time, sometimes you do need to just be at one place. And
right.
slow travel is something which now most of the evolved travelers, they don't want to jump from one place to another.
Hmm.
They want to just go, and even if they're traveling, they want to go and just live at a place.
Right. If I'm traveling for like 15 days, it will be a big trip. And it's like when you come back home, you are at home and you feel so relaxed after a long trip. So I can understand like you traveling so much, how it would be for you.
Yes,
I think it's really time to rethink every sector, and travel being one of them.
When we travel, we enjoy and rejuvenate, but we have never thought of the impact it has on environment. And it's now that we are hearing, or some of us are becoming conscious about these things, which can be the alternative to the conventional things. And I hope more and more people becomes aware quickly, and their happy time is also environment's happy time, right? So, Prerna, as a traveler, what issues we should be aware of in these times? And while we travel to places, we keep our current responsibilities aside for some time, or handhold to someone. But are there any responsibilities we should keep in mind while traveling, or like what SDG goals or what impact we can make with sustainable travel?
Travel industry contributes to 10% of total global carbon emission, which
Okay.
is a huge percentage.
Right.
10 just is because of travel. When we travel, we should at least have this consciousness that our travel is going to create pollution. So that's the number one step, and there's no harm in it because that's a reality. But becoming aware of reality is something which is very important. And once you're aware that, okay, my travel is creating pollution or whatever is creating carbon emission, then I will start thinking of the ways in which I can reduce it.
Right.
And one way, of course, is to take public transport as much as possible. I mean, go for trains instead of
Right.
flights as much
Right.
as possible. Then, second, of course, go for hotels which are sustainable, which are local, especially made of local architecture, because uh, concrete is one of the most damaging way of construction.
Okay.
Then,
Right.
then go for food which is locally sourced. For example, asking for pizza in Manali is not local until unless it's locally prepared. Like Domino's pizza in Manali is not local. And going for activities also which are more local. So, for example, if you are going with a guide on a trek, then it's a local activity
Right.
because you're giving employment to the local person and you're visiting the local and you're walking. So, you're not damaging much. Suppose, for example, you're hiring a taxi and going for 10 sightseeings in one day and just burning fuel, it is not sustainable. And
Right.
secondly, in terms of travel, there is a huge growing trend of this one night travel, like weekend trips. And that is that has a flip side to it, because when you're going for one night, for example, from Delhi to Rishikesh, suppose somebody is going for one night, they'll take their vehicle, they'll go to Rishikesh, they'll stay for one night, they'll come back. The amount of carbon emission they generated just in that transportation from Delhi to Rishikesh and back for one night is like is not
Right.
valuable. So when you're planning travel, always try to maybe combine your holidays and go for a longer travel, so that you also enjoy when you are there
Right.
for a longer duration, and your travel is also worth it. That commutation is worth it. So I think
Right.
these are some steps, and there could be many other steps,
Right.
like carry your own bottle. That's something which is very basic. Do not buy plastic bottles. There are many other things. Carry your own cutlery and like that. But I think the most important step would be first to have the realization that your travel is also polluting the environment.
Right, right. I mean, it's very insightful, Prerna. I think small things can contribute, whatever you said. And in addition to this, I mean, like you mentioned, that one night trip from Delhi to Rishikesh. Even if you want to go, instead of car, you can travel via train, because
By bus, yeah,
it will be
yeah,
like a night train only, because at night you're not doing anything. You can just take it.
yeah.
So that will save some carbon emission there. And again, if we are traveling in a group, we can use tempo traveler instead of using multiple cars or so.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's and even when we go to a restaurant or hotel, we take different, like multiple plates to eat the starter and then the main course.
Yeah, those are very basic things, but we don't think about
We
it.
don't think about it, right? So that's how we can. So the first thing, like you said, it's to become aware and conscious about these things. Then only the mind will keep thinking in a different direction. That yes, that alternative can be done,
Yeah.
right?
And it need not be that everybody in your company will be following your
Right,
alternatives. There could be people who may mock at you,
right.
who may make fun of you, and who may just throw satires or say anything. But it is, if you are strong enough and if it is
Mhm.
there in your mind, then those things don't matter.
Right, right. And
And
you can,
someday they will understand. Like
right.
after 2-3 times, they will also
Mhm.
understand.
Right, right. That's a very good thing you have said, Prerna. If you do it again and again, the people surrounding you, they are bound to, think about that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And thankfully, we have this media today which is talking about climate change, sustainability.
Right.
So that is a big support. At least
Mhm.
people, they do read about it. You can't ignore it. Social media is flooded with information. So you have
Right.
to be, you can't be ignorant.
Right. Because from last 3, 4 years, I think it is becoming extreme, and we are hearing so much about it. Otherwise, we never knew what is a carbon emission. We
Yeah.
never knew the word. Right. So moving on, Prerna, business travel or personal travel, which one has more responsibility towards tackling sustainability?
I think both have equal responsibility, but it is more easier for business travel people uh, to adopt to changes
Mm-hmm.
because first of all they are traveling on a regular basis, so
Hmm.
they have more responsibility
Right.
their act rather than personal travel where they are going on a fun holiday with friends or with their family. Business travel happens in all ranges, like even in 2-star and 3-star hotels. So if these hotels start adopting measures like composting, wastewater treatment, rainwater harvesting, use adopting water savers, energy efficient lighting is done, solar panel is used. So there are a lot of these measures which can be adopted even if their construction is concrete and they cannot do anything about it. And once these hotels follow these measures, at least people can make a choice between a responsible hotel and a non-responsible hotel. So,
Right.
and because hotels, I think, play a very, very important role in the food aspect, in
Mhm.
the measures aspect, and then, of course, for transportation. Uh, I understand in business travel, flight becomes very important because of time constraints. But at least on the hotel front, things can change, and it can be changed very, very easily.
Right, right. So, I mean, business travels are really time bound, as you said. So it's difficult to cut down on the flight part. And I think here the organization also has a greater role to play towards making it a sustainable travel for the employees, first of all, right? And we cannot ignore the flight, but if it's a group business travel, then they can arrange for a maybe shared cab for pickup and drop to and from airport.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, the hotels which are already there, they can also convert themselves into a sustainable property, whatever measures you have said to take. Tell us more about the range of options available, like what geographies you have covered until now, and about the food, as we all love food, and good food is what makes people
Sure.
happy.
Yes. So we have, I mean, accommodations almost in all parts of the country,
Mhm.
but majorly because I reside in Delhi and we started with in places around NCR. So we have in Uttarakhand, Himachal in higher numbers. Then we have in South India, in Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. Uh, then of course, like we do have in West Bengal, then we have it in Gujarat, Rajasthan, and all other parts of the country.
Mhm.
uh, In terms of, I'll give you some examples of some of the stays to give an idea about the kind of stays we promote. So, for example, we have a stay which is ahead of Jim Corbett in Uttarakhand, which is where the owner, he bought the entire hill and gave it back to nature for rewilding.
Okay.
So he did not do any alteration in the terrain, and he allowed nature to take over the land again. And he just built like two cottages, you can say, two houses, which were meant for the guest.
Okay.
And it has like 650 different species of birds which come there throughout the year. And they have like, you can see spot deer and sambar like very, very easily. Leopards, one leopard lives there, and tiger can be spotted in that private space. So that is like an example which is into the wildlife thing. Then, for example, in West Bengal, there is a place where it's a mud bungalow. So there are two mud bungalows with two ponds. And in one campus, there are two ponds and two
Okay.
bungalows. And ponds are a very local thing in that area. So that's why those ponds exist there. And everything in that place, it has been sourced from Shantiniketan. So it's located in
Okay.
Shantiniketan, and from their almirah to their bed to the bed sheet to the decor, everything is from Shantiniketan. So 100% locally sourced. So like that, every stay has a story. In Goa Karnataka border, there is a stay which has a waterfall inside the campus, so you can just walk for a minute from your room and you can have access to a waterfall which is only
Okay.
yours.
Amazing.
So and the food they prepare, you're talking about food, so they grow their own grains, and they grow their fruits and vegetables. I still remember there was passion fruit, and we had just cut it and have it like, I mean, having it in that forest where you have plugged it on your own hands and you can have it raw is a very unique experience.
Right.
They made this pizza, and here when they prepared pizza, they had made their own base, and they had made their own sauces. The toppings were from their garden, the herbs were from their garden, and even the cheese, I think they made. So
Oh,
everything was homemade, and the oven was clay oven. So within that, like
right.
they did. So and there were other whatever other dishes they prepared. Most of it was grown in their own farm. So and even the pottery was done by the host. So the cutlery was made in a local pottery. So that is the kind
Wow.
of localization which goes into it.
Awesome it is. I mean, I didn't know that so many options are available for eco-friendly stays in different locations, and I'm going to explore those for sure. Like whenever I get the chance.
It's like once you have the taste of this kind of a stay and
Right.
experience, then I think it's very difficult to go back to the typical environment.
Right. So it's like we should go back to our roots.
Yeah, that's the entire goal, to go back to the roots. And each experience which we provide is all about going back to the roots.
Hmm.
Ultimately, it's all about doing the same thing with a modern touch. So,
Hmm.
so you're
Right.
doing everything same, but for example, drinking water in copper vessels. Now, why do we provide it? Or even in
Hmm.
most of our properties, they provide food in copper or utensils. So
Okay.
all these are they used to be done in ancient times. There's
Right.
nothing new in that.
How has been your business growth over the years? Like from how many properties to how many now? And since people don't know much about it, so like what impact does word of mouth has for your business? And if you could also share some, stories of customer stays at your location.
When we started, I think till 2017, till 2018, we had around around 10, 15 properties, and then we increased it to around 40, 30, 40, 50. And we did the trial, but since the number of properties were very, very less, and people were asking about different locations which we couldn't cater to, we kept a halt on the operations and we focused more on getting more properties on board. By 2019, we were about to we got almost 100 eco stays. So then we started the operations again in a proper way, and we started getting queries. So in 2019, as I mentioned, that most of the queries were about making people aware, because they hardly had any picture in mind about eco stays, and we had to explain to most of them how it looks like, how it is different, what is the speciality. So it was converting queries was a little time taking thing. And then COVID, of course, happened. So for 2 years, it was almost like negligible kind of. So we again, and we couldn't even travel much. So we couldn't aggregate stays. But whatever break we got, in that break, we did travel. And finally, we have around 200 eco stays right now. And now we don't have to struggle with the conversions and the queries. So it's either you take it or you don't take it. Like, we don't need to negotiate and explain. And now people don't have any misconceptions also. Like, we have not got queries with misconceptions. Coming to the customer testimonials, I will say that in the last 4-5 years, who we have served, apart from 3 to 4 guests who had complaints, and that too complaints like I'll first talk on the complaint part, because those have been very funny. One of the last complaint which we received was that the kids around the area and they are making noise, and there's there's a cat who is walking behind me. That was a complaint. Now, I don't consider this a complaint. There was one complaint which was very interesting, where a guy, there was a group of around 10, 12 people, and they went to Gir, where we have this during the summer season, we have mango orchards. So we had mentioned that you can pluck mango fruits and you can have them. So once they reached there, the moment they entered in that reception area, they had like slips pasted saying that do not pluck mangoes, fine of this much rupees. And they started calling and bombarding me, Madam Ji, what is this? Like, you told me we can pluck it, and here they are saying you can't. So you are making a fool or whatever, like typical customer. There was like, okay, wait. And I called like their owner, who was sitting at that time. He was in South America, in Africa. He was not even in India. I said, okay, this is a concern. I want the guest to be allowed to pluck some mangoes. And then in the evening, they were taken to a certain area and they were allowed to pluck mangoes where proper ripe mangoes were there. And they were like, because the guest would not know which is the best one. So like proper ripe mangoes were served to them in the dinner time, and they had such a good experience that today, like, they like almost every post they see. So that has been the kind of experience. This is about the complaints I'm talking about. Rest, we have not received complaints, touch wood, from people, and that has been the biggest achievement. As I say, like, we don't want to focus on quantity. That's why we don't give offers and discounts and all those things. We focus on people who want to come to us because of our quality and our service. And word of mouth here actually has played the most important role. The journey has been slow and smooth. It has not been very, very swift and fast growing, but it has been stable. and there were so many companies who couldn't survive the COVID phase, and many big companies also had to
Right.
shut down. But I think we could survive all that because of this slow growth and the stability which we had. And I think because of this word of mouth, we are now getting some very, very interesting queries, not just from India, but even from outside. And all have been through word of mouth.
Great. I mean, word of mouth is the oldest, sustainable and I think free of cost form of marketing.
Yeah, and you don't
Yes.
somehow even like for social media, sometimes people say that for increasing your likes, you pay money so that you have some decent number of likes and all. Even for that, I feel like I'm doing some crime by buying likes or
Hmm.
until it's like if there's real goodness, then people will come to you automatically. It takes time, but they do come. Like, we have not done any paid marketing till now,
Hmm.
uh, and we're surviving. We are getting results.
Right, right. I mean, this word of mouth, it's most trustworthy too, I think, for hospitality industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
and if somebody is referring in hospitality, that means there is something over there.
right, right. So lovely to hear those stories, Prerna, and that must be a moment of great satisfaction also when you hear such reviews from your customers, right?
Yes, so when there are some people who are very restless. They're not because they have had bad experience in the
Mhm.
past, and hospitality is full of bad experiences. So,
Right.
so they're restless, and they're like, would whatever you're saying, would we get that or not? So like right now only I was interacting with some guest who was like, whatever you pictures you're showing, will it be like this or not? And that is what they get in other platforms. So that's why they have that same
Right.
mindset here also. So these guests, once they reach the state, the first thing I ask them, that is the pitch place like the picture or not? And then when they are like, yes, yes, it is very nice and very beautiful, and then I'm like, okay, done.
I'm sure like all of your properties must be extraordinary and different from one another and greatly contributing to customer experience and sustainability too. So of all the locations, which one is the most visited one?
So we this Jim Corbett stay which we have, not the one which I described. There's another stay which is they have mud houses. So they have around 10, 11 mud houses, mud cottages, and it is located beside a river. It has trekking, it has nature walk, it has village tour, and it has a lot of adventure activities like ladder climbing, water surfing, mountain cycling. And so because it has so many activities, and it is great for like kids and couple and solo travelers, and it is just 5 hours from Delhi. So
Okay.
because of and the hospitality and the food is amazing. They grow their own food. So yeah, so I remember like there was one guest, one of the earlier guests. She went with her two kids, and the kids were like 3, 4 years old. So she said, my child doesn't like Loki, but here he's eating Loki so well. So that's such an achievement.
Right.
Because I've heard like such kind of feedback. You're talking about feedback. There's another stay where a similar kind of feedback, that my child generally doesn't eat food, but he's eating so much here. I'm so happy. So those are the kind of positive feedbacks which we receive on food. And
That's great. I mean, if you hear such feedbacks related to the kids, I
yeah.
mean, that's amazing.
And these are all like new mothers and whose children are 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and generally our stays are taken like mostly families go for their holidays because they consider it more safe, and
Right.
their children and all, it's more safe.
Right. I would also consider myself as a new mother. I have a 4-year-old kid. as,
You'll have
I'm
same,
hearing you, yeah,
you'll have same food experience.
I'm getting tempted to visit there. So, Prerna, now, are there any competitors in market now for Ecoplore, and what are your future plans to this?
So I think there's no aggregator like this in the market. They are like travel agents which work in specific area and which work on ecotourism, and those are older companies. But aggregator which has 200 eco stays, which is uh, identifying places like this and on a criteria that I don't know of, not even in the world which is like this exactly.
Right.
So that is about competition. And on future plans, so we recently I got my dream house, which is which is a mud house by Revti and Vasant Kamath. They are pioneers in mud architecture across the world, so it was their
Right.
home for 25 years in Delhi NCR and Faridabad. And now it belongs to, not belongs, I'll say, yes, I'm taking care of it.
Wow.
So that is something which is a new project, which is very I'm excited about. So it will basically, the idea is to make it a hub of bringing all sustainable players together, using that place as the center point, and also to showcase how sustainable living happens, because not everybody will be taking Ecoplore tour or will
Right.
be interested in, not 100% audience will be doing that. But being in Delhi, there's a great exposure, that chance of exposure which we have, that you can at least come and pay a day visit and see how sustainable living is done. And that place has it's the best local architecture I've seen. Like, I've visited so many places, but it's a beautiful mud come wood come stone house.
Mhm. That's a great thought for the future. I mean, and all the best for that. And I hope, more and more people get attached to it. And I must say, it's a unique thought. So, and I hope it reaches to more and more people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. So, Prerna, people travel to find peace, right? So, is peace redefined in properties of Ecoplore?
I think, uh, for example, this place, One Bhoj, which I was talking about, this mud house in Faridabad, uh, that is one place I would relate peace to. It is so peaceful that within Delhi, right now I'm in my house here in Ghaziabad. That's why I told you it's so
Right.
polluted. But there, I'll be going there tomorrow morning, and they have 10 peacocks, which I've seen at one point of time.
Wow.
And they have like at least 10, 12 groups of parrots. They have woodpeckers, hundreds or 200s monkeys living together. So that is peace, where you are living in harmony with all of
Right.
them. And like, the monkey would be just passing by, even if you have food in your hand, it is not like, the monkey will not come and attack you.
Oh.
And the moment you come out of that premises and you stand on the road and do the same thing, that monkey will come and attack you.
Hmm.
So the peace is not about just you. Peace is also about the surrounding,
Right.
the outside you. And when you said that, how will Ecoplore stay? How does it redefine peace? Is like, all our stays are in nature. So when you are in nature, and these are elements of nature, these
Hmm.
birds,
Right.
animals, trees, waterfall, all these are elements of nature. So
Right.
when you are in nature and undisturbed nature, by default, peace is with you. So
Right. It's a lovely thought. And I mean, obviously, the earth is for all of the people, or animals, or trees. Everyone should be given the same equality, and should not be destroyed. So I think, and that's what Ecoplore is all about, as you are saying. So living harmoniously is sustainable, right? Very nice. On personal front, Prerna, what's your favorite travel destination?
I think now it has become one boat.
I knew it.
So personally, like now, I don't. I was telling I was looking to settle down, and I never liked Delhi because I've been living here for almost more than 10 years now, since 2010, and I never liked Delhi because of pollution, crowd, whatever typical city reasons.
Mhm.
But now that I have got that place, and it's like a paradise in Delhi. Like you can't imagine such a thing in here, like here. So I mean, I don't need to go anywhere else. I have my favorite destination, my dream house, everything there.
Right, lovely. I don't have any other word to say. I was going through your website and found very interesting team member, Mehaan Jain. His designation is the future. I'm very curious to know about these team member of Ecoplore, and also like tell us more about your team.
So Mehaan is my colleague's son, and he is a child who I've like met so many kids, and Mehaan is one child I met whom I found. Information about climate change, understanding, awareness about environment, like these things are the things which he is so interested in. And like I have not met him almost for a year now, but I've lived with him for some time on multiple locations.
Yeah.
And this is my personal experience with him. So of course, his mother is deeply involved in sustainability, and she has been involved not because of Ecoplore, but she's like that since her childhood.
Okay.
So that thought process comes in her by default, and of course the child gets to learn what your parent is. So but apart from that, like when I still remember an instance when we were in Kasani, living together, Mehaan, Khushbu and me, and he was noticing the insects on the ground, and he was pointing them out and saying that, oh, this is that insect which I read in my book, this is that insect which I read in my book. And he actually sat with me and watched this movie of David Attenborough, Our Life on This Planet, and he understood every bit of that movie. And I was surprised and this child was just like 5 year old then. So at 5 year old, he understood the entire movie, and I asked him that, what did you understand, and what is the summary, or what is climate change, and how do you define it? And he was explaining it in such simple terms which I have not even understood from a regular person. So why we kept him? Because initially, of course, he was participating in a lot of activities and videos and those things like that. But he's like a symbol of future, because whatever we are doing is for the future.
Right.
And if the future has to survive, then we need to do these things.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it's really fascinating to know about Mehaan, and yes, they are the future. And if they become aware and conscious from now only, that will be the best thing, I think.
But they are, because the next generation is they don't have a choice actually.
Right.
We have not left them with a choice.
Right, right. And as a parent also, I think we have a greater part here to play to mold their mind consciously from childhood only, because during the childhood the kids are very they are very close to nature. They like everything whatever is there in the nature. So
And then how do they get molded is very important.
right, right. So I must say that's a very exciting and interesting conversation I had with you. And obviously, whenever you hear the word travel and tourism, it's really excites you.
Yes.
So wish you all the best, Prerna, for future, and more power to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was amazing to have you on Renieta Vlogs, and such an interesting conversation I had. And I got to know a lot, many things from you. So thank you so much for your time and sharing about your lovely journey and thoughts with us.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure talking, and I hope a lot of other people listen to it and at least
Right.
spread. And I think it is spreading out. There is a lot of positive change. So
Right. That is always the hope, Reena. Yeah. And hope to speak to you again and, have the conversation in your Bhuj property, the mud house in person.
sure.
For more such conversations and finding your ability for sustainability, follow us, like us, and share your comments on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Spotify.